Hello and welcome to the Schooner Bracket. Yes, after a year absence, we have come back together to give you our Frankenstein disgusting bracket and release it onto the world. I'm your host, Bobby Howard. With me, we got Jameson, we got Boaton Blake, and fellas, how excited are we to have March Madness back in our lives? Blake, I know you're thrilled. You've been documenting stuff all season, making your picks. I can only imagine how excited you are.
This has been, it feels like ages in the making, but we finally have a bracket in our hands. I'm super excited. I felt like last year we had a fun college season, got robbed. I think they should have even released a bracket last year. Let us do a little hypothetical game. Honestly, sometimes I love the beginning of the bracket time more than the Final Four time. I love just the hypotheticals. Who are the sleepers? Who are the Cinderellas going to be this year? I love just talking about that. So I'm excited. I'm ready to get going on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just having a day full of, college basketball and just having all of the craziness hit you all at once. That is the spirit of March Madness, more so than, big empty stadiums of, just four of the best teams. We see enough of that in the preseason. I just love the craziness, and I can't wait to get into it. Jameson, how excited are you to have March Madness back in your life?
It's so great, and what's weird about it this season is we're not starting on a Thursday like we usually do. Usually don't we go Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday, Sunday for those first two rounds? And now we get a Friday start. So for the working folk, now that a lot of us are in that working age, it's a little bit better for us. And it's going to be fun. But do we get, Blake, you probably know this better. Do we get a full day of second rounds on a Monday?
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, we'll get a full day on Monday.
That's going to be a great Monday.
So, yeah, it makes the Mondays less shitty, too, which is great. So, yeah, I can't wait. So without further ado, let's just dive right into this because we have a lot of picks. The last time we did this, it went like 2 hours long. It was incredible stuff. That was a long time ago. I was still in school. Wild time. But let's get this set up. Adding the bracket to the stream. This is the Unibracket. So in case you didn't know how this works, what we're going to do is create a bracket of our selections, best 2 out of 3, or best 2 out of 3 moves on. So we'll get some weird results. But anyways, we'll start out here with the West Regional. We're going to go all the way through the Final Four and the national championship game. So first off, we have the undisputed number 1 seed, the Gonzaga Bulldogs, facing off against, let's just be honest, it's probably going to be Joseph, right, Blake?
Okay, I know this gets crazy, but let's not let it get too crazy right off the bat. Gonzaga is the best team in the country. They're one of the best teams I've ever seen in my lifetime. They are deep. They have offensive firepower. This is not going to be a game. This is not going to be close to a game. And I know it's happy that Joseph is back. Joseph is in the primetime spot. It's Gonzaga. Gonzaga all the way. Gonzaga. Yep.
Yeah, as much as I would love Joseph to pull off one of the greatest upsets of all time, this is the Zags all the way. Jameson?
Yeah, I really just hope Joseph gets at least one win under their belt in the tourney because thankfully they got a play-in game. So let's just count our wins there.
Yeah, so Joseph moves on. Next up, this is
No, Freudian slip Bobby. He goes, and Joseph moves on.
They move on in our hearts. They move on. Well, they move on against Norfolk, but they move on in our hearts. So, Joseph, sorry that you have to be the sacrificial lamb here. Let's move on to what is honestly probably the worst possible scenario for OU basketball. Number 8 OU, number 9 Missouri. Sooners take a nosedive the past couple weeks into playing a team who has a remarkably pretty solid big, something OU has struggled with if you watched them play against both Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas. Jameson, do you think the Sooners have enough to get past number 9 Missouri here?
How dare they put us versus Missouri at the 9 when Scrappy Dogs are number 9 and we could have been playing them? That is just a travesty. I've been really back and forth on this because this whole year, even throughout our highs and lows, I've always said I think OU is a team that could lose in the first round. I just see it; it's written all over them. That's just their pedigree in this season. I just get a feeling. There's just some teams that you watch and you just say that team has upset written all over them. But then they get placed off versus Missouri, and Missouri has not astounded me at all in what I followed them this season. So I'm just going to go with OU here. This is an OU bracket. Let's move OU on.
Yeah, I look, a big thing this season for OU was, kind of marked by the start of, at the start of the season, the passing of Billy Tubbs, legendary OU basketball coach. And one of his most memorable moments came against Missouri, where he was thrown out of the game after telling the crowd to stop throwing things on the court, no matter how horrendous the officiating was. So it just seems fitting that OU would end up with Missouri, famous Big 8 rival in the tournament. I think the Sooners win this one for Billy Tubbs and move on to the second round where, I guess we'll get to that when we get to that, but give me the Sooners here. Blake, your thoughts?
This is the only time I'm going to pick OU. I hate this OU team. I hate Austin Reeves. It's just Austin Reeves because now Brady Manick has he has gone down. He is a negative. He must be a negative PER type of guy on the floor now. Brady Manick sucks in games now, and it makes me very happy. But I hate Austin Reeves. But look, Missouri went to overtime with TCU, and that's all you have to know. TCU is trash at basketball. Fire Jamie Dixon. We're moving on. OU Gonzaga round of 32.
Sooners move on to the round of 32. Next up, we have Creighton and UC Santa Barbara, who defeated my beloved UC Irvine in the Big West Championship. Heartbroken. But Blake, any chance the Gauchos pull off a big win here?
Give me the Gauchos! I want the Gauchos! Look, this team is experienced. They've built something based on transfers. They have experienced players, and I do not like Creighton right now. They just got blown out by Patrick Ewing, which, although it was a good run, I'm not a fan of Patrick Ewing. His program was a dumpster fire a year ago and just blew out this Creighton team. And they have so much turmoil going on in the program. And we know the history with 5-12 seeds. So give me the Gauchos in this one. That experience is just enough that I feel like this is... But also it's a trap because I know a lot of people are saying that the Gauchos are going to win. I've been reading a lot of articles about that. But I think they're 69 in Kim Palm. That's an incredible rating, incredible number. I have to go with them here against a team that's just trending in the totally wrong direction.
I agree. Not only this just feels like the right 5-12 pick of all the 5-12s, which is just a prime matchup for upsets. Creighton falling off of a cliff, lost to a Georgetown team who you said had a really good run, but ultimately, if you get beat that bad, it's hard to recover. So give me the Gauchos to move on here. Jameson?
Yeah, looks like the decision's been made. I was going to go with Creighton. I like Zagorowski. I feel like Blake said, a lot of people are picking the 12, and I sometimes ride with that, but I don't know. I like Zagorowski just to out-talent them.
The Gauchos moving on to the next round. Next up, we have the incumbent national champion, Virginia Cavaliers against number 13, Ohio. Jameson, your thoughts on the Cavs? Got a little bit of a rest with the whole COVID situation. That still could be a lingering factor. Do you see anything out of Ohio to possibly take a win here?
Yeah, there's some chirps and some people that think that Ohio is a good team and they can pull it off. But Virginia in the first round, I don't know if they can lose as a higher seed in the first round for the next 10 years after what happened to them. If you lose to a 16 in the first round, you can't lose ever again in the first round for a little while. People have to forget about that. They'll come out motivated. I'm going to go Virginia.
Yeah, I'm just going to keep it short. Don't know enough about this Bobcats team, and I just trust the Who's here, so give me UVA. Blake?
Well, I guess UVA is moving on, but give me Jason Preston in the Ohio Bobcats. Last year, I saw Jason Preston go out And I always see him in early season tournaments. Like, Ohio gets thrown in with some of the big boys. And the first time I saw Jason Preston, I was like, this man is a great value LaMelo Ball. Like, his game is very similar to LaMelo Ball. I was infatuated by him. And now he's hit the national spotlight after earlier this year. They played Illinois, played a super close game. They showed, seeing how Illinois right now has become the sneaky pick to win the national championship. And Ohio was playing with them earlier this year. And Virginia's game, the way in which they play is so slow that if they ever get down big, it's going to be impossible for them to come back. So I like the 13. I like the 13-12 round of 32 matchup. I think we're going to see either Ohio or the Gauchos in the Sweet 16. But sadly, UVA's moving on in this one.
The Who's moving on to the next round. Shout out Taylor Keys. Next up, we have USC versus the winner of Wichita State and Drake. Blake, I know you've been a big Drake guy this season. Don't know how you felt about Wichita State. I will say, just going ahead of this, because I've just ridden with whoever comes first, I kind of feel really good about the 11 seed here, no matter who comes out, Wichita State or Drake. So I'm just going to drop that out first before, Blake goes with Drake here. But Blake, who do you got here?
I gotta ride with one of my day ones. The two teams I wanted in the tournament this year were St. Louis and Drake. Sadly, we didn't get St. Louis, but I was honestly very impressed with Drake this year. I don't understand why they're not in the similar conversation as Loyola. I know Loyola beat them multiple times. Loyola has one of the best defenses, and according to Kim Palm, has the best efficiency, but Drake was keeping up with them. So I think they still have that same caliber of talent. But look, Isaac Brown, what he's doing at Wichita State, it's a really cool thing to see after what they just went through with Greg Marshall. And this sucks because these are two teams I would really root for in March, but they have to go against each other. But I just got to go with my beginning of the season ride or die Drake. Give me the Drake Bulldogs over USC. Okay,
just going straight towards it. And, I'm with you. I like Evan Mobley. I think he's a pretty solid prospect, but I feel like this USC team and really most Pac-12 teams are just kind of shaky, ripe for an upset. So give me the Drake Bulldogs or Wichita State here. I think either of them have the chance to take out USC. This just feels like a juicy upset right here. So give me Drake, Wichita State.
Yeah, but if USC were to advance, I think that matchup with a possible Kansas would be really, really cool to see Mobley going off, with Kansas and their big man situation with him missing, the Big 12 championship and their COVID and all of that stuff, just to see how they come out versus Evan Mobley would be really interesting. But yeah, I think Wichita State over Drake as well.
Yeah, I think it can just be a really... I don't know. It's one of those things where it's going to be a really tough fight in the first round. USC is one of those teams that could be a Sweet 16 team, or they could just get bounced first round. They're right on the edge of that. And but I'm going to tend to go for the upset because hey, it's a fun time. Moving on,
I got one last thing. They do remind me of Arizona with DeAndre Ayton. They're in a very, very similar situation. At that time, they got bounced first round. So I'm getting really big vibes there.
That's a very good comparison right there. Next up, we have number 3 Kansas and number 14 Eastern Washington. Jameson, Jayhawks roll big here, despite the
sure, but I want to defer to Blake right now. I want to hear it. Tell me about the Big Sky.
The Big Sky this year, it was a down year. We love, on this podcast, we love two teams. We love Montana and we love NoCo. NoCo sadly ended around 500. I think Montana did as well. I am out on the Big Sky this year. I think Eastern Washington, not a traditional Big Sky team. I don't like the ones like Washington is not Montana. It's not Idaho. It's not where else? Colorado. I like those states. I love those good mountainous states, and Eastern Washington just doesn't feel like it's a part of that nice core. Like, I forgot Eastern Washington was in the Big Sky. I had to look it up because I was looking at the bracket and I'm like, where's their champion? Like, did they just not have a champion this year? To then realize Eastern Washington was in it. I'm out on them. I know I want the Jayhawks right here. At least for now. Yeah,
for sure. Well, I'm gonna go with the Jayhawks here. No, No offense to the Big Sky, but I think even with the COVID issues, Kansas has really gotten hot at the right time, and I think KU moves on here.
And Wichita State versus Kansas as a potential matchup, if that was to happen, would be, a blast of the past, plus really fun just for Kansas people.
When was the last time they played? Did they play in a tournament recently? I feel like they played in an NCAA, because I know they never schedule each other.
Well, didn't they play in the tournament, way back when, and Wichita State won, and whenever Wichita State was on a run?
Yeah, I seem to remember them playing in their, in Wichita State's peak.
Because I have a picture on my phone. If I go, that was VCU, that game. But did they ever play? I might have been mixing up VCU and Wichita State. I thought for sure Wichita State played Kansas.
They played in 2015 at some time. Oh, yeah. Wichita State beat the number 2 Kansas I think it was probably in Kansas City, if I had to guess. No, it was in Omaha. It was in Omaha. They played a game during the middle of the season where Wichita State was 7, KU was 2 in Omaha, and Wichita State won.
Oh, wow. Yeah, they have a very weirdly limited history against each other. Only 14 meetings. That's outdated information. Never mind. But it's very, very limited. And KU usually does not like to play Wichita State for whatever reason. I think they're scared of the Shockers. But all right, we're moving on. KU. Next round. Next up, we got number 7 Oregon and number 10 VCU. Don't know much about either of these teams this year. Jameson, you take the lead.
Yeah, Oregon's got a little bit of flash with them every once in a while, then they just dud. And it's just I pay attention to the scores, like I check my NCAA basketball scores. I've not watched Oregon once this year, but just from just seeing trends throughout the year, they are not reliable. But I feel like a lot of people are going to pick VCU just because they think VCU is the same old VCU. They ain't. This is just an ugly matchup. Give me Oregon.
Yeah, Blake, I'll defer to you on this one because again, I'm an idiot on this one. Have no information, so don't really know what you think on this.
I'm going with Bones Highland in the VCU in this matchup. I've actually watched a decent amount of VCU this year, and because I was enthralled by the A10 this year. I thought Richmond was going to do good. I thought St. Louis was going to do good, but it ended up being St. Bonaventure and VCU. But they really good defensive team. I agree with Jameson. Oregon can lay duds, which kind of scares me going into the tournament, and I feel like they've become a really trendy pick. They're they have all this talent. If they put it together, they'll make it. But the one thing to look at with VCU is I thought the A10 was really competitive this year, and against St. Bonaventure, they should have probably won that game. Bones Highland picked up 3 fouls within the first 5 or 6 minutes and had to sit most of the game, and so them not winning their A10 tournament kind of I think people are going to skew away from them a little bit because of that. So I'm going to go with VCU in this just because I can't trust Oregon's consistency whatsoever.
All right, I'm convinced by the fact that VCU has a star named Bones Highland, so I'm going with VCU here. Blake, you've won me over with that analysis. We're going with the Rams here. So, moving on to our last matchup of the Western region. We got number 2 Iowa and number 15 Grand Canyon. Shout out to online universities. Any chance GCU pulls one over on the Hawkeyes here, Blake?
There is no way, and I'm so tired of GCU's student section. Their student section on Molly. I just don't know how they get so excited for such an average team. Before this year, they had no success whatsoever. Props to them that they can get so jacked up about mediocrity. And I love mid majors. I'm a mid major guy, and I still don't understand how they get jacked up for them. But Iowa, they have to win this matchup. Iowa really has to make a run, or they're this is their historic team. And if they don't make it at least to the Elite Eight, it's a failure of a season. So give me Iowa.
Yeah, it would really make the whole retiring the jersey, before the season ended. That would really make that look really embarrassing if you lost to a team that looks like a knockoff TCU. So
it is. They stole our logo. If you compare them 2 side to side, yep.
I mean, it's literally the same font, same arch, same color. I got to go with Iowa over Copyright Infringement University here. Jameson, who you got?
Next, we are 1/8 of the way through, boys.
Woo! We're moving, baby. We got 20 minutes in, and we're one region down of the first round.
Let's move on to LSU St Bonaventure after Michigan completing this.
So, Michigan. Okay, LSU and the Bonnies. Jameson, your thoughts on this?
I hate this because I really like the Bonnies. I think they're scrappy. Do you think they're scrappy, Blake? I kind of like them.
They are scrappy.
The problem is LSU has so many good offensive players that I don't know how scrappy you can be to overtake that. Oh, man, I'm so torn. I'm so back and forth. I think offense prevails scrappiness here. Like, give me LSU.
Blake, I'll let you go on this one.
St. Bonaventure, incredible defensive team. They're top 20 in Ken Palm. They're Ken Palm's 25th ranked team in the nation, and people aren't talking about it that enough. And I feel like when people come to this matchup, they saw LSU's performance against Alabama. That was a awesome game. Like, that was one of the best college basketball games this entire year, and they saw that. But I've been betting on LSU this entire season, and they are a streaky mess. And I think conference tournaments, they do hold some weight just because it's a very recent sample, but also at the same time, like, LSU can go cold on nights and get blown out by 30, and St. Bonaventure really wants this, and I like defense in the tournament. Defense will always travel, and I feel like LSU, you saw it in their last possession. They jacked up like a 3 from like 10 feet out as like their final shot of the game. I don't like that. I like guys that go to the rim. St. Bonaventure's that gritty team that will go to the rim. I want the Bonnies. Give me the Bonnies. Move on to play Michigan.
Do we know what stadium this is going to be in? It's I don't know.
If
it's Lucas Oil, I'm going Bonnies.
No, it's Assembly Hall.
Oh,
it's Bloomington. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That'll be interesting. That's tough. And I feel like in the past I've definitely gone with a scrappy team to beat LSU, and they let me down because LSU can be weird like that. But you know what? The 25th in Ken Palm, and I just would rather root for the Bonnies than root against them. I'm going to be the decision maker here and go with the Bonnies to move on against LSU. That's going to be a really good matchup for sure. Next up, we got number 5 Colorado versus the Big East champion Georgetown. Blake, do you see the magic of the Hoyas moving on into the tournament?
I see it for one game and one game only. But this Georgetown, I feel like this is the first time where Georgetown's back in the tournament and the pressure is off. Like, I felt like growing up, it was always Georgetown would blow it in the first round because like a really high seed. Now they're lower. I just don't like Pac-12 teams as much this year, I don't think. It's just their conference has been like, they've been beating each other up, but they've been mediocre teams beating each other up, and I hate that. Nobody's been able to rise above the pack. I don't like a tournament that literally Oregon State came out of nowhere and won. And you're supposed to be a Power 5 conference. Give me the Hoyas for one more because I just feel like they're still riding off that momentum. I got to give them one here, Georgetown.
Jameson, are you feeling the Buffs here, or are you picking the Hoyas to move on?
This is tough because you say, like, you don't like a tournament where Oregon State came out of nowhere to win, but Georgetown, although they were decent this year, they were not projected to come and win that tournament. They were very back and forth this whole season, just got hot at the right time. So, I mean, kind of back and forth there. I just don't know how much I believe in Georgetown. You know, a lot of people like to ride hype from conference tournaments, and the way they won by almost 20 points, whatever, is really convincing. I'm so torn on this one. I don't know, Bobby. I picked Colorado in my bracket, but I didn't like it one bit.
So I think I'm going to go with Colorado. Georgetown seems like one of those teams that got hot. They had their moment, and sometimes it seems like whenever you raise that trophy that, it feels like an ending. It feels like a bookend. And I don't know if they'll be able to carry that momentum onwards. I'm going to go with a sensible pick and pick with Colorado here, but I think it could be a scrappy game. I don't know. It seemed too perfect of an ending to give us more chapters in that story. So give me Colorado and the Buffs to move on. Next up, we got number 4 Florida State and number 13 UNC Greensboro. Blake, Know anything about UNC Greensboro?
Not much this year. I did not watch much of UNC Greensboro, and even if I did, I think I'm going with Florida State here. Me and Jameson were talking about it earlier, but I like this Florida State team, but I don't love them. They have a lot of talent on their squad. They have Scotty Barnes, MJ Walker, really deep team, but they don't really have a go-to guy, which I think will hurt them later in the tournament. But I just think their team, it's just because they have so much talent on that squad. I don't see an upset here in the first round. I want Florida State.
Yeah. And, I mean, hey, they did lose to Scrappy Dogs on a championship environment, so there's that as well. Jameson, you see Florida State moving on here?
Yeah, I always like my lengthy boys. Give me Scotty Barnes to put it into gear and get himself the number 6 pick in the draft.
Yeah, give me FSU as well. Just that is a situation where there's too much athleticism there. I know they did lose to Georgia Tech, but I don't know. I'm trusting FSU here. Next up, we got BYU and probably the best first 4 game of all time in terms of programs in Michigan State and UCLA. Jameson, how are you? Do you think the Mormons can take down these star-studded, first 4 people, or and not only that, who do you got out of those 2?
Yeah, I don't like UCLA one bit this season. Every game I've watched them, it's just been barf. I haven't liked it. I haven't watched much at Michigan State at all. So I'm just going to go with the one that I know is not as barf to me in Michigan State. And with BYU, I feel like some people will be like, oh, I saw them compete versus Gonzaga where they had a lead and they blew it. They have that capacity. I just don't know how much I believe in BYU. So give me the play-on just because I feel like we see these 11 seed playing teams move on a lot. I understand we already picked one, but, it's pretty safe to pick one every year.
Absolutely. Blake, you got the play-ins, or do you got BYU?
I got the play-ins, even regardless of which one goes through. I think I'm leaning probably a little bit more towards Michigan State just because I do like the upside of Michigan State. The reason why they're even in the tournament in the first place is not their record, but it's the quad 1 wins that they're losing to really bad teams, but then they're beating some really, really, really good teams. And just January, February, Izzo, can't bet against it. I have to go Mich State here. I feel sorry. BYU actually, I think, is a good team and a fun team to watch, but they just got the worst pull. They got the worst pull ever because you're either going against Mick Cronin or you're going against Tom Izzo. That's a horrible matchup coming out of the 11. So just give me whoever comes out of that game.
This very much reminds me of the year Kentucky was an 8 seed and right up against, I believe it was Wichita State. Izzo in March is a different animal, and let's be real. This is not your typical 11 seed. I think they're going to beat UCLA, and I think they're going to beat BYU here. So give me the Spartans to move on. Next up, we got a battle in Texas. The Texas Longhorns versus the Abilene Christian Wildcats. Blake, you see the Horns continuing their hot streak from the Big 12 tournament?
I do, and I really loved what I saw from them in the Big 12 tournament. Jericho Sims, the senior, looks like he's really taken a next step. He was, against Oklahoma State, just absolutely dominant in the paint. Nobody could stop him. And if he plays anything like that coming into March, Texas, I think, can make a really big run, and we could see that kind of next evolution. Or similar to the Texas we saw at the beginning of the season, I think they could make a deep run. Give me Texas over Abilene.
I've tried to be a bit of an arbiter here, but let's be real. I after seeing Texas up close with how incredible Sims is, I just look that team has too much size for ACU, and the Horns are going to roll big here. Jameson?
Yeah, if Sims gets his hands on the ball, they'll be fine. The teams that do well in the first round usually have a good big man, and the teams that lose with a big man, it's because they didn't give them the ball enough. So I like Texas here pretty confidently.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we got UConn and Maryland. Honestly, a really good matchup between 2 pretty good brands here. Jameson, you like the Terps or you like the Huskies?
I don't know. I like UConn just because you picked the better player. Do you pronounce it Book Night, Blake?
I pronounce it Book Night, but I pronounce it book
yeah.
night, but I could easily see that being wrong.
I have no idea how to pronounce it. I watched a lot of his tape today, and he's definitely got some things that is interesting. I don't know if I value him over some of the other wings that are in later mock drafts in the NBA, compared to Scotty Barnes, Moses Moody still. But, he's very interesting and is a guy that, could get a lot of press in this tournament. And as a 7 seeds are, they're always great for hype. There's a lot of 7 seeds that move on. I like UConn here.
Yeah. Blake, you got UConn as well?
I do. I'm just addicted to the Huskies just because of their history and what they've done in the tournament in the past. I love Dan Hurley. He is like an absolute firecracker. And James Bouknight is – they've only lost, I think, 3 games with him. Like when he was actually playing, he was injured a lot of the year, had to sit out, and that's kind of where all of UConn's losses were. But when they're at full strength, they're a pretty unstoppable bunch. And just seeing how that program in March has been – one of the legendary ones with Kimba, with Shabazz Napier. I want to see another UConn run just for my own personal sake. So give me UConn.
Yeah. Give me the better player. Give me UConn. Next up, we have number 2 Alabama against Rick Pitino. Blake, is Alabama going to make a premature exit here, or do you see them rolling on?
I really want to go Iona here, but I'm not. Rick Pitino did say he's bringing, I think, 6 or 7 suits, like a suit like for each round, because he thinks he's taking his team to the championship. But I love this Alabama team has been really they've been not fun to watch, but interesting because they basically. Nate Oates has made it into an NBA-style team where you're only taking layups, you're only taking three-pointers, and that's it. And so I will say this. If a team was to get bounced to the 2 seed, it would be Alabama just because they're very reliant on the 3. I know they can get layups and such like that, but if they get cocky, won't drive the ball in, we could see Iona maybe stick around, but I just think Alabama's too good. Rick Pitino is going to be the coach of Boston College next year. I know it. I'm calling my shot right now.
I like it. Look, I really wanted to pick Iona too. I think all of us kind of want to pick Iona a little bit. Then I looked up where they're playing. Hinkle Fieldhouse, the home of the Butler Bulldogs. Very tight gym. That's good for shooting right there. That benefits and plays into Alabama's favor for sure. So give me the Tide to win this one. But I could see the Gales make it a little bit of a choppy slop fest there. But we'll see. Jameson, what do you think?
Ooh, Rick Pitino with the choppy slop fest. Alabama next.
Yeah, roll Tide, roll. Next up, we are in the, I believe, Midwest region. Yeah, South region. There we go. Number 1 Baylor and number 16 Hartford. I think we can move on pretty quick through this. Jameson, Bears roll.
Next. Nothing.
Yeah,
nothing.
Bears. Next up, a really interesting 8-9 UNC and Wisconsin here. This is as good of an 8-9 as I've seen in probably ever. Jameson, how do you feel about the Tar Heels this year? A little bit of a rough season, but kind of finished it out a little bit strong versus a Wisconsin team that has been through the ringer in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and that's why I like UNC here, because of the way they're finishing. And one player I really like, from just watching him probably 3 or 4 games, is Caleb Love. I think Caleb Love has got a little bit of oomph in him, a guy that can make a big splash in the tournament. I don't know about his game moving forward as a pro, but as a college player, definitely a guy who could get big in the tournament.
Absolutely. Blake, any love for the Badgers here?
No love for the Badgers. I hate the narrative that's going around this Badgers team. It's like they're going to finally put it together in March. This senior lineup finally going to put it together. They haven't done it all year. They showed some flashes in the beginning, but they've been horrible, absolutely horrible and unaspiring whatsoever. And that's why I like UNC here. At least I've seen them beat Florida State. I've seen them get hot at the end of the season. They've shown me some flash of a actual basketball program. I'm taking UNC here.
Yeah, I mean, maybe if this draw was different, they could get past them. But look, it's Roy Williams, it's UNC. Even though it's been not your typical North Carolina year, come on, UNC. Next up, we got number 5 Villanova and number 12 Winthrop. Blake, what do you think? Nova's moving on here. I know we've kind of had some hot debates about the 5-12 matchups, but this one, I don't know, seems pretty solid to me.
I'm going Winthrop. I go back and forth on this. Yes, I go Winthrop. They are a weird team. They play with I think they play with 10 actual players that play good minutes, and they play really fast, and they just sub out a lot. It's like a hockey team, basically, on the basketball court. I love that. One loss on the season. Villanova really missing Colin Gillespie. We saw it in the Big East tournament. That's the one of the one performances I'm actually putting stock in. That's a huge blow to lose Colin Gillespie, and I know Jay Wright is a good tournament coach, but I like Winthrop with their weird hockey lineups running up and down the court on Villanova. Give me Winthrop.
Okay, Jameson, I saw your reaction. Are you also riding with Winthrop?
Of course I'm riding with Winthrop. Losing Gillespie is going to really hurt for Villanova. That is their guy. That's their leader. Winthrop has one loss. One. Give me Winthrop. Let's move him on.
I'm in. I'm all in. I've heard all I need to hear. I was probably going to go with Villanova there, but any chance to pick against Villanova, I'm in. I'm absolutely in. So Winthrop moving on, the second number 12 seed to move on. Next up, we got Purdue and Purdue Pete versus number 13 North Texas. Jameson, you see the Boilermakers hammering on to the next round?
I looked in a lot to North Texas because I wanted to find any sort of way to get Purdue off because Purdue is just not a sexy team to me. But North Texas, the more you dig, the more I found that it is not as fun as Winthrop. So give me Purdue.
Yeah, no, no offense to North Texas. I just don't feel like it's this year for them. So give me Purdue. But Blake, any facts about North Texas we should know?
No, I hate North Texas. They knocked out Western Kentucky Hilltoppers out of the tournament. Charles Bassey was made for the tournament. Get them out of here. Get out the mean green. They're gone. Purdue moving on.
Okay, awesome. Next up, we have the 6 seed Texas Tech Red Raiders and the 11 seed Utah State Aggies. Blake, you see your guy Mac McClung having a big game here?
You know who I'm going with? Mac McClung. He's going to be a tournament player this year. Absolute. He's going to be on fire. He is going. I'm trying to think of the region. I see them going to the Elite Eight, I think. I am high on Texas Tech. They can defend. Mac McClung was built for the tournament. The nation will finally see how perfect of a player Mac McClung is. Give me Texas Tech. They're going to whoop Utah State's ass.
Okay, I love it. Jameson, do you share Blake's same enthusiasm for Mac McClung and Texas Tech?
I thought about Utah State for a long time. But I really I agree with Blake that Mac McClung, I've said this 3 or 4 different guys, you got to look for big players that can make their name in March Madness to get all the hype and send teams far. That's how people make it far in the tournament. So you got to find that one guy. But then I also thought I've seen Texas Tech go cold, and they can go cold. And their tallest guy that actually plays is 6'7", and Utah State's center, he's like Quita or something, is like a 7-foot monster of a man who just dominates everyone they play. So if Texas Tech goes cold and Utah State just hammers on the inside, this could be a close game that ends bad for Texas Tech. But I'm going Texas Tech.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Raiders as well. Next up, we got number 3 Arkansas and number 14 Colgate. Apparently, this is going to be quite the offensive game. I know it's your turn, Jameson, but I want to hear Blake's thoughts on Colgate, everyone's favorite toothpaste brand, apparently.
Colgate lights it up offensively. Absolutely lights it up. But even with that, I have to admit, they are lighting it up against, I think I looked at their schedule. It's Army, Boston University, like Holy Cross. Like they're lining up, they're like I think an average team in like a really bad league. Like I'm looking, I think I just pulled up their Kim Palm. Their best win is against Army, who's the 189th team in the nation. Like they just got a boat race. They're really crappy league, which I respect it, but Arkansas's been too good this year. They are a hot team, a fun team. I love Eric Musselman, the importer. Give me Arkansas to move on.
Yeah. Jameson, are you also on the Muss Bus?
I love Arkansas. I've already told y'all about this whole year how much I like Moses Moody. You know, at Montverde Academy, he played with Kade Cunningham. That was a really damn good team. There's like 3 5-stars in him, who was a fringe 5-star coming out of high school. And Arkansas has, you know, they have some seniors there, even though they're transfers, and plus they have youth talent. That is a team I like. Give me Arkansas. Give me Moody to be a big guy.
Yeah, I'm on the Muss Bus as well, so give me Arkansas. Next up, we got Florida and Virginia Tech. What would look like to be a very good Orange Bowl in the late 2000s is a first-round matchup here. Do we got the Gators, or do we got the Hokies? Jameson?
I don't know much, to be completely honest, about either team. I picked Tech, but I'll listen to what y'all have to say.
Blake, I know you've been big on the Hokies in the past couple of years. Picked them as national champions, your long shots. You rolling with them Hokies?
Slightly. This is hard because usually I'm all in on the Hokies. Each year I do my tradition, take out a future on them. I think I'd win like $1,800 this year if my future hit. But look, they put out a video yesterday. The most disrespectful thing is they did an Old Takes Exposed video, like a hype video for a 10 seed in the tournament. Like you are a Power 5 team that got a 10 seed and you are trying to like stomp on the haters already before you played the tournament. Do not like that. I do not like that cockiness coming into the tournament. Things are not looking good for the future, but I'll still just because I have some money riding on it, give me Virginia Tech. But why do Old Take is exposed when you're the 10 seed? It's not like you're some mid-major. You were middle of the pack in a Power 5 conference. Like,
and it's not even like they've had good years. They've gone on runs.
Yes, they are a good college basketball program. It's not like some random team, it's not like Northwestern or like TCU, bottom of the barrel basketball school. Like, they made the tournament and are doing it. It's like they need to have more respect for themselves. But
I mean, they literally were just like, you thought we were going to be bad and we were just mediocre. Screw you, assholes. Like, good job, I guess. I don't know. Moving on, we got Ohio State and Oral Roberts, the third best team in Oklahoma. I think we could all go with Ohio State, but shout out Oral Roberts. Do we all agree on that one?
Yeah, we'll give our Ohio State analysis next thing, as well as Illinois. Illinois, we could say so many good things.
Yeah. So, any love for Drexel, Blake?
Nope, no love for Drexel.
Brad Underwood and the Illinois Illini. Moving on. Next up,
this is the game of the century.
Scrappy Dogs versus Sister Meme. Blake, down
with Sister Meme. With Sister Meme.
Blake, yes. How much does this game mean to you?
This means everything. I have put my lifeblood on this game. This is the worry of this century. We get Sister Meme out here taking Zoom conferences today, once again absorbing everything that this great Loyola Chicago team did. They have been working hard in the gym. They've been going to practice each day, and look who comes waltzing in the final hour to take all the attention away from that. Sister Meme, she's coming. She made a whole press conference today. I'm coming to the tournament. We remember the Final Four when you left with like 20 minutes left in the game. And look, I tried to go find the video today on YouTube. Couldn't find it because you scrubbed it from the internet, Sister Meme. So look, Josh Pastner and the Scrappy Dogs are going to beat you down so hard. We get the welder. Yes, Josh Pastner with his welder mask of a face mask, which he should be wearing every single year. The COVID pinata, he is going to come in and destroy y'all's sister meme. You're going to leave in the first 2 minutes of the game this time because you don't care about your team. You take away the spotlight from guys that actually deserve it. Give me the scrappy dogs, scrappy do right here. Georgia Tech, let's go. This is over. This is over. It is going to be... Oh my god, this is like a WWE matchup of a lifetime right here. And Sister Meme's about to get hit with the Stone Cold Stunner. Get him out of here. Scrappy Dogs, Georgia.
Well, Blake, I'm going to pick Loyola Chicago because she seems like a really nice lady. So I'm going with the Ramblers here.
Jameson, I swear to God.
No, screw Sister Meme. No, Georgia Tech all the way, baby.
Okay, well, I'm going to go Loyola Chicago. We're on Scrappy Dogs.
God.
Scrappy Dogs to take out Sister Meme. Send her home early. Oh, boy. One thing she commented on in her Zoom press conference is she didn't like how they were matching up two Illinois teams against each other. Just assuming that Loyola Chicago is going to move right past Georgia Tech. So
I don't like it. Hottest coach in the nation, Josh Pastner. Love him. Gonna destroy Sister Meme.
Sister Meme getting cocky. Next up, we have a battle of the oranges. We got Tennessee and Oregon State, the Pac-12 champion. Jameson, who do you got in this?
I was another game where I'm just looking at it and it's like, ugh. I don't really know. Tennessee has just been, a team that, they could be really good. They have talent, but sometimes they just underperform. Oregon State, I'm just not buying it, what they did in the Pac-12. I can't get behind that. So I'm just picking talent in Tennessee. I at least like, Keon Johnson and Jaden Springer just from when I watched their high school tape, last year. But they haven't done really much for Tennessee this year other than, score like 10 points, 12 points a game. So I just can't buy into Oregon State. So give me Tennessee.
Yeah, this is a bit of a blah game. Blake, who do you got?
I guess just give me Tennessee. Like Oregon State, magical run. I think Tennessee has the potential there. I honestly, this is the most boring 5-12 matchup on the slate. I don't like it. Tennessee's such a blah team this year. They started out really hot, went really cold. I don't care. Give me Tennessee.
Yeah, fair enough. Next up, we got a really, really good one. Kade Cunningham versus Liberty. This is kind of could be an upset central sort of thing. Liberty has been as scrappy as they have been on the gridiron. No word yet if they will wheel in Hugh Freeze in on a hospital bed to provide them a little bit of a boost. We'll see how that goes. But Blake, do you think Star Power wins out over this kind of scrappy dog energy Liberty's got going?
I think so. I think it's a crime that OSU is put at a 4 seed. They should have been way higher. I think as high as a 2. I love what I saw from this Oklahoma State team, like at the end of the season. They are really, really good. And I'm not just talking Kade Cunningham good. They have something to build on for the future. I know they probably won't see maybe the results next year, but they got some young guys, those 2 twins. Like they grind. They can grind out games, and I really like that. Give me Oklahoma State here.
Yeah, I've been very, very big on OSU. The past couple weeks, they've really gone on a run, got it together. Yes, the big thing is Cunningham, but they play great defense. They have other guys who can hit shots when everyone's focused on Cunningham. That Anderson kid's really, really good. I think the Pokes just have too much firepower here. But Jameson, do you think Liberty can pull off the upset?
I think they can, but I'm not picking it right now. Just because one thing, the biggest knock I could put on Kade Cunningham is sometimes he goes to sleep if he gets too pressured. Sometimes majority of teams are going to scheme around him. And whenever they do, sometimes he'll disappear for 10 minutes of the game. And, Liberty has been preparing for OSU for like a week now or however long they get. And that's the more time than any time the whole season a team, for the most part, gets to prepare for you. So they're going to have a plan for Kade Cunningham. And if you believe in all of these, other pieces for OSU, yeah, they move past easy. But that's a lot to put on them if Kade Cunningham can't get out of the scheme. So if Kade Cunningham comes out strong, absolutely blowout.
Yes, it's going to be really interesting. this is probably one of the more interesting matchups that I think is on the entire first weekend slate. So we're moving on to OSU, though. Next up, the San Diego State Aztecs versus Jim Boeheim, his adult diapers, and the Syracuse Orange. Jameson, how are you feeling about Boeheim here?
Let's talk about Buddy Boeheim, Blake. What do you think about Buddy Boeheim? I feel like you can either be really on the Buddy Boeheim train or just get him out of here. Kind of like he's been hot recently, so you never know. I just really, really like San Diego State in general. I think that they're extremely underappreciated this year. They got good players, they got good scores. I really like San Diego State.
Yeah, absolutely. Blake, your thoughts on Buddy Boeheim and the boys?
I do love Buddy Boeheim. Like, when I watch him play, I'm like, this guy might be able to play in the NBA. Like, he is a good three-point shooter, which kind of surprises me because, like, I expect Buddy Boeheim to be like Brad Calipari, and he's not.
Yes.
Like, he's actually he's actually a decent college basketball player. Like, very he deserves to be the best player on Syracuse. But I'm with Jameson here. I like San Diego State. Their only losses this year have been to actually good, like, either tournament teams, or I think the only other one was Colorado State. They're a really, really good team. They have to shake off that bad juju from last year, whenever they hung the conference championship banner before the year was done. They just hung it, and that cursed them. Tournament got canceled. I wish this would be like Malachi Flynn, Aztecs, but it's not. But I'm not buying into Syracuse in March this year. I like San Diego State.
Yeah, it's just not the right year for Syracuse. Give me San Diego State as well. Next up, we got West Virginia and Moorhead State. Blake, West Virginia has been on a bit of a renaissance this year, kind of ditched that previous, Press Virginia identity, and have been really good. Got stopped by Kade Cunningham early, but, hey, that's the Big 12 for you. Do you think they rebound and have a really good tournament and get a good win against Moorhead here?
I'm really high on West Virginia. I've really liked what they've turned themselves into, because I feel like by ditching the whole Press Virginia thing, they went from a good team to a great team. And I felt like consistently they were in huge games. I think a really big indicator was just the closest game Gonzaga had all year was West Virginia. And that says something about their identity. I think this West Virginia team is probably we think of the old West Virginia teams as good, but I think this is one of the best ones we've seen in forever. I want West Virginia here. I could see them making a deep run into the tournament.
Yeah, for sure. I was impressed with them. OU's played them well this year, but I don't think that's very indicative of their full season for sure. That last game against Baylor at the West Virginia Coliseum was very impressive for me. That, for me, is what makes me think that they are a type of team that can really get hot here. Jameson, your thoughts on West Virginia and Moorhead?
Yeah, I like Derek Culver as a first round guy, dominator of a mid-major team. He's a guy that he's just going to grind it out, just play tough ball, and I just think that Moorhead State can't handle that.
Yeah, absolutely. What looks to be a first week NCAA football game, we have Clemson and Rutgers. The Scarlet Knights have had a bit of a random college basketball renaissance out of nowhere. Jameson, you got any love for the Scarlet Knights here, or do you think Clemson's going to roll on?
This is just another just blah matchup. There's just so many 7-10s and 5-12s where I just love the two, and then they play each other and I have to pick between the two. And then I go to another one and they both, I just don't like them. Clemson, another team where it's like a Florida, where it's just I don't know, man. Rutgers, how are they here? I guess they made a couple of good wins, and Blake, what was the really, really good game? Was it Illinois that they played tough?
Yeah, Illinois.
Yeah, and they're just riding high on that. That's just one win. I'm going with Clemson. I feel like they're just too hyped just because of the Illinois association.
Yeah, for sure. Blake, you going with Dabo Swinney or Gabagool here?
Gabagool! Look, I like Rutgers being back in the tournament. First time since the 90s. And I like lengthy boys. Me and Jameson both like our lengthy boys.
We do.
Clemson is the opposite of lengthy boys. I will read off their starting lineup. 5'10", 6'4", 6'4", 6'8", 6'8". They are small boys. They are very, very small boys, and I do not like that. Give me Rutgers. Just based off of their smallness. I do not want anything to do with Clemson's smallness. They're the least lengthy team.
Okay, before you go, Bobby, I did find this. They beat Illinois, and they're 0-7 versus all other top 25 teams, but they beat Illinois.
Hey, that's all I care about. Break up them tracksuits, baby. Give me Rutgers and Gabagool over here.
Okay, the lengthy argument has got me thinking.
Yeah, the lengthy thing actually did bring me over to the side of Rutgers. But I love this story too. You know, first time since the 90s. I think they're going to be really fired up. Not that Clemson is some sort of basketball powerhouse, but you got the length. You got the. I think this would be a huge building block for this program. I think they really need this one. They really want it. So give me Rutgers for sure. All right, let's move on. Number 2, Kelvin Sampson. What the hell am I saying? Kelvin Sampson, Cleveland State. Cleveland State, a little bit of a weird team, has been known to get a good upset here and there. But I don't know about this Houston team. Has had a lot of COVID issues, missed a lot of games. Blake, are you buying the Cougars this year?
I am off of the Cougars, but I'm on for them this game. Look, I'm going to use this not to talk about Houston, but talk about the Horizon League. One of the best kept secrets of college basketball. They show their biggest game in the league on Fridays on ESPN2, and this basketball is wacky. Like, a 4 overtime game is the norm in the Horizon League. I love it. It's fun to watch. Love Northern Kentucky, the Norse. Love the Wright State Huskies. But can't with them here. I think Houston's a little too much, but I'm down on Houston this year. I think once I saw them lost to East Carolina, overhyped. They've just kind of stayed in the polls just because they started there. But give me Houston in this, but I don't see them going far in this tournament.
Jameson, your thoughts on Houston?
Totally fair. They are lucky that, they do have an easier 7-10 matchup. No, don't freezing cold takes expose me on that one, but give me Houston.
Yeah, absolutely. 215. That's a pretty good spot right there. Even though it is Cleveland State, I think they have enough to get past them. I would say this is one that I would look into, maybe sprinkling like $1 or $2 on like an upset. 215s, rarely happen. If there was a 215 that would be up for an upset, I think it would be this one. But I don't think it's going to happen this year. So, I mean, we're moving Houston on regardless, but Cougars moving on to the next round. Scrolling all the way back up. Does anyone need to take a break or anything?
No, let's ride. Let's go quick.
Let's ride. OU Gonzaga. Don't think it's going to happen, guys. Not feeling confident about the Sooners. Jameson, is there any way OU can beat Gonzaga here? What do they need to do to find a way to try to pull off the impossible? Is there anything they can do?
If a team at OU skill level is to beat Gonzaga, it would be through an absolute barrage of threes and getting hot. OU can do that. I'm just not buying it. I'm not one bit. Sorry. Yeah,
that's fair. The thing, OU just doesn't work like that. We have guys who'll get hot, but it's not like everybody gets hot. That's just not how OU operates. We're a defensive team that can get hot if you have one guy do it. But the fact is Gonzaga is just too damn good. They're going to take out the Sooners here. So give me the Bulldogs as well. Blake, do you want to drive your dagger into Austin Reeves' career here?
It's going to be bad. Like, this Gonzaga team's just too much, and they're moving on.
Yeah, agreed. Doomer Sooner all the way. The Zags moving on. Next up, Gauchos fighting Keeses. Who do you got, Blake?
I got the Gauchos.
I knew it.
I don't trust Virginia. We have to have one weird team in the Sweet 16, and I think it's going to be Gauchos. They are an experienced roster of transfers that has just been hidden from the world, and I just this Virginia team's not like the Virginia team of past. Like, it's not Ty Jerome, Kyle Guy, like these like really impeccable shooters. They're like a slightly less format, and I just don't trust them. It's like if they get down big, they can't come back. They play so slow, you can't like get enough points to come back. I think the Gauchos are gonna make a nice little run to the Sweet 16. Give me the Gauchos.
Oh my gosh, Jameson, convince me why I shouldn't roll the Gauchos here.
You don't like Sam Hauser, Blake?
I like the Hauser twins. Like they're they're decent.
Yeah. I really want to pick the Gauchos here too. But the problem is sometimes I just pick things because I have this feeling like I can just see it. Like it just makes sense. Virginia playing Gonzaga, and they hype it up, and they're like, let's go back to the last time they played, and then it's just like an absolute obliteration of Virginia by Gonzaga. So I'm just going to go with that just because I feel like I see that headline and them talking about it throughout the week.
Yeah, Gonzaga's region is really interesting because they do play a lot of teams they've already played this year and dismantled this year. But you know what? They ain't played the Gauchos.
Oh, there they go.
There it is. I'm sorry, Keys. We're moving them Gauchos on. The only way to beat a scrappy dog that has become an overdog is by introducing another scrappy dog. So give me the Gauchos to move on. Oh boy. Next up, we got Wichita State or Drake versus Kansas. Either way, pretty fun regional matchup. But do either team have enough to take out the Jayhawks? Blake.
I don't think so. Kansas got hot towards the end of the year, and they kind of came out looking like a pretty normal Kansas team. I know people were all doom and gloom when they went on their big losing streak, but I love my Drake Bulldogs. I just don't think it's enough. I think Bill Self in March is too good. I got to take Kansas here, but I will say the COVID stuff kind of scares me a little bit just because we don't know how the extent of that and how that's going to play out in this tournament. But I just got to go with Bill Self, the better coach here. Move on the Jayhawks.
Yeah. Jameson, is the COVID enough to scare you away from picking Kansas here?
No, I like the way Kansas has been playing. Same thing as Blake. Move Kansas on. Not too enamored with either Wichita State or Drake.
I agree. Both are good enough to move on, but, you know, that is where their dance ends. Next up, we got a battle of a lot of black, a lot of gold. Iowa and VCU. I'm not feeling confident about VCU here. Jameson, who do you got here?
Yeah, give me Iowa. I think Iowa versus Kansas, is going to be a really fun matchup. I think it'll be very telling for both franchises. They both need it a lot. So give me Iowa here. I wasn't a big fan of VCU to begin with.
Yeah. Blake, you rolling with Iowa?
Yes, I am. Just too much offensive firepower. VCU can't keep up, even though Iowa plays no defense.
I feel the same way. It's tough, but, again, Iowa gets to move on here for sure. Next up, we got the Bonnies and number 1 Michigan. I know we love the Bonnies, Blake, but is it enough to beat the Wolverines?
It's not. Michigan, Juwan Howard has proven himself to be one of the best coaches in the nation. He did incredible things at Michigan this year, plus he's bringing in the top recruiting class next year. Their future is very bright. I love the Bonnies. I love them so much. Good on defense, but I just don't think it's enough. Michigan's just too good.
I would love to see a scrappy performance out of St Bonaventure. I don't know about it. Jameson, can you convince me, or is it all maize and blue?
No, I'm not going to convince you. I wasn't even picking St Bonaventure the first round. So give me Michigan.
Yeah, I knew that was going to happen. That's fair. Now, this is actually a good one. Number 4, Florida State.
Is it, though?
Is it, though? Number 5, Colorado. I don't know. Just trying to make things interesting. Well, the last couple rounds, we've just been like, we're moving him on. It's fine. So, entertain me, Blake. Is there any way Colorado can beat Florida State?
Nope. Lengthy boys got it. Too much talent. I didn't even want Colorado to really move on to here, so they're going home. It's just too much.
I'm just going to go ahead and save us some time and move them lengthy boys on to the next round, which would be a very good football game in the 1990s. So let's move on to let's just be honest, this is going to be Michigan State and Texas. UT is probably going to be too much, I think. Jameson already said Texas. Blake, you got Texas?
Texas.
I like Izzo, but maybe not that much. Next up, UConn and Alabama.
Really fun one. Really, really fun game.
Yeah, actually, James, I'll let you roll on this.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think it's going to be a really fun one. It'll be back and forth. I'll take Alabama, but I could see UConn winning, and if y'all pick UConn, I'm totally for it too.
For sure. I think this is just great basketball. A really solid blue blood, one of the best programs in the country, in the new millennium, versus a up-and-comer who, really thinks they're going to take the college basketball landscape by storm, just like they did over a decade ago with college football. Blake, do you see this being a big win for the Tide, or a humbling of sorts?
I think I'm going Huskies here. I spoke about it a little bit earlier. I think Alabama plays a very statistically sound way of basketball for like an entire season, because it is true. It's like more 3-pointers, like the higher percentage shots. Those are the better shots to take. But if they go cold from the 3-point, I just don't think it's enough. And I feel like UConn's that scrappy enough team. They have good defenders. They have experience there, and they just kind of have that March magic. Like they have magic like within that program for some reason. I like UConn there. I got to go with UConn.
You know what? I saw Alabama in person, and I've seen what happens when they get cold. I saw them lose to an OU team, without Austin Reeves, who, did kind of have to scrap in there. Alabama did not have a good shooting performance, but they were at full strength. You know what? I think I'm going to go with the Huskies. I think they're going to either fall in the round of 32 or 16, but why not just bounce them early? So let's go with UConn to move on to the Sweet 16. Next up, we got Baylor, UNC. I know we talked about how UNC has been on a hot streak. They've been looking better, but is it enough to take out the Baylor Bears, who have been struggling since their massive COVID break? Jameson, what do you think?
Hell no. Next.
Baylor Bears, Blake?
Baylor.
That good old Baylor line. Next up, we got Winthrop and Purdue, baby.
Winthrop!
Blake, you going with Winthrop?
I gotta go Purdue. Purdue's just, Matt Painter's a good coach. They're an actual solid squad. I think Winthrop might get some magic in the beginning, but Purdue's not gonna go over as easy as Villanova. I want Winthrop. I want Purdue.
Okay, Blake goes with Purdue. Jameson, I heard you yell Winthrop. Who you got?
Give me Winthrop. We need it. Like Blake said, he brought in the Gauchos into the Sweet 16. I wanted to bring in Winthrop. I was looking into their team a little bit. Chandler Vaudrin, if you click on that little I dot right there, it says he's had 3 triple-doubles this year. Ooh, that's a little spicy. 6'7" point guard. I looked into it a little bit. I was like, ooh, I kind of like this guy. And, that's another guy you can get behind. Give me Winthrop. They only lost 1 game, remember? They only lost 1 game.
This will be their second loss, because if I do not pick...
No.
If I do not pick against... If I pick against Purdue Pete will haunt my dreams forever. And I can't live with that possibility. So give me the Boilermakers to move on.
I'll be sorry.
Next up, we got the Southwest Conference rivalry between Texas Tech and Arkansas. Really, really great game. If it happens, I really want to see this. Blake, I know how you feel about Mac McClung. I also know you're pretty solid on Musselman. Who do you think pulls this one out?
I gotta go with Texas Tech. Honestly, I love Musselman and what he does at that program, but I cannot. Mac McClung, just like Jameson was talking about, how he sees that headline. I see people talking, it's Kimba, it's Shabazz, it's Mac McClung, and I can see it, and I've been writing that for 3 years now. This guy was built for March, and he finally gets his opportunity. I love it. I think a 6 seed for Texas Tech is horribly undervalued. I think this team is actually, like, the Big 12, I just feel like we're misseeded all over the board, but this is criminal. Give me Texas Tech. I think these teams are way more similar. Like, they are closer together than people think. Like, I think this, when you see the line to this game, it's only going to be, 1 or 2 points.
Jameson, can we change our pick to Utah State?
Honestly, though, let me tell you something. I love both of these teams. And if Texas Tech was somewhere away from Arkansas, yes, I'd be riding with Blake with all the Mac McClung hype because it makes sense. You see the headlines. But I love Moses Moody in Arkansas so much. And I said it earlier, they have, Indiana transfer and Justin Smith. They have Northern Kentucky transfer and Jalen Tate, who's been playing big too. They've got older guys. They've got young talent around them too. A lot of good recruiting class guys. Give me Arkansas. I just like them too much. And Texas Tech, although they've been fun to pick, we said this in the Big 12 tournament. Oh, they're a sneaky team, and they lost in the Big 12 tournament first time they played. I understood it was only by 1 point.
Lost to Texas.
But still, they still lost by 1 point.
To Texas, who won the tournament.
Okay. I'm just saying.
I gotta say, Arkansas makes way too much sense here. That is why I'm picking Texas Tech.
Oh, God bless America.
I'm just saying, Arkansas does feel like the better squad. They seem like they have everything together, but it's March Madness. You have weird stuff. I could definitely see Mac McClung hitting a game winner. This is a tight game, as tight as it gets. I'm just imagining that highlighted one shining moment somewhere around the middle. It's gonna happen. I'm telling you. I'm manifesting this into existence. Give me Texas Tech and Mac McClung to move on to the Sweet 16. Next up, the Hokies, Ohio State. Little reminiscent of the 2014 college football opener there, I guess. I'm the only one thinking of that. But hey, they lost. It was their one loss on the one blemish on a college on their college football national championship in 2014. Do you think the Hokies get another upset, Blake?
Nope. Dewan Washington and EJ Liddell. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, could you tell me what you like about this Ohio State team?
Yeah, I just think Dewan Washington is an awesome player. Like me and Jameson were talking, we love teams that have a solid base and a star. And I see Dewan Washington being the star for that Ohio State team. They've been really competitive. Like, they beat Michigan. They were super competitive with Illinois the other day. That made it a really close game. And I thought that's, like, the hottest the Illinois has gotten. And so I really like what Ohio State's doing. Chris Holtmann is becoming one of the best coaches in college basketball. I cannot see a world where Virginia Tech beats them in this. So give me Ohio State.
I think that's fair. Jameson, you got the Bucks.
Yeah, I really like Ohio State. Not too convinced on Virginia Tech. Ever since you told me about their little hype video, Blake, I went back and changed my pick in my bracket. So
it's bad. It's bad.
It's so bad. I don't feel good about rolling with the Hokies either. Let's move on. Illinois and them scrappy dogs. Do you think the scrappy dogs are scrappy enough to take out a very, very good Illinois team? Jameson, what do you think?
Scrappy dogs are always good for one scrap. But then, as we learned in football, they just fall off and they just hurt you. You keep on riding with the scrappy dogs, and scrappy dogs keep on scrapping you. So give me Illinois. I like Illinois too much. Really, really good team. Really solid. Are there any weak points in their game? No.
Yeah. Blake, do you think these scrappy dogs will be a little too tired after dispatching of Sister Meme?
I think so. They're going to beat them so hard that they're just going to be drained. Ayudasumu is just like somebody that, like, he's another player that's just really built for March. That team has no weaknesses. They really have no weaknesses, and they finally put it together. Give me Illinois.
Absolutely. So we're going with the Illini here. Next up, we got number 4 Oklahoma State, number 5 Tennessee. Blake, do you see Kade Cunningham making it to the Sweet 16?
Yes, this Tennessee is not that good. Like, this is just a complete, like, Tennessee's trending down, Oklahoma State's trending up. It's easy. Oklahoma State, Sweet 16.
Yeah, Jameson Pokes are a much better team than a 4 seed, I believe. But do you think they're good enough to take out Tennessee?
I think that they're going to struggle in the first round, but then if they move on, I think they just blow out the waters on Tennessee, and Kade Cunningham has that game that just everyone's going to talk about for the next week going into the next rounds, because you got a full 4 or 5 days before you get games again. It just makes sense, and people are just going to be all over Kade coming into the Sweet 16.
If there's one thing we know about Oklahoma State is just don't let them get hot. If they win that first game, I could see them challenging this Illinois team, which sets up such a saucy Sweet 16 matchup. OSU versus Brad Underwood. I can't wait to talk about that one. Moving on, we got San Diego State, West Virginia. Jameson, you think Huggy Bear moves on to another Sweet 16?
I know this is going to get trumped, but I actually like San Diego State here. So I'm not going to talk about it and let y'all pick West Virginia. I just really like San Diego State across the board. They've got good defensive numbers. They've got guys that can score the ball. In West Virginia, even though they've done really well this year, they do have the ability from time to time to just dud. Give me San Diego State, but West Virginia is the better team.
Yeah. Blake, I know you're high on the Mountaineers. How you feeling?
I'm going to go with the Mountaineers on this one, but I think it's one of those things. I think Jameson's absolutely correct. I think this is going to be one of the most compelling round of 32 matchups. San Diego State's a really, really, really good team. I just like what I saw a little bit more from West Virginia, and kind of playing a harder conference schedule, I think, helps them a little bit there. So I'm going to choose West Virginia, but very, very, very narrowly.
Yeah, this is a good game, and it could really definitely swing towards San Diego State. I don't think it will. Give me Huggy and the West Virginia Mountaineers to advance. Next up, Rutgers, Houston. Battle of the Scarlets. Do you think there's any chance that Gabagool and them lengthy boys can get one over on Kelvin Sampson, Blake?
Nope. I'm still. We can get to it when we talk about next round, but that 7-10 matchup, as Jameson said, one of the most ugly matchups. Starting ugly as in I do not really want to watch it. I could care less about that matchup. Houston's still a good team. Rutgers, I think, just wins one, makes their fan base happy. It's over. Houston, move on.
Yeah, Jameson, I think you agree with the fact that.
Yeah, I don't like Rutgers.
Fair enough. Moving on, Houston and West Virginia there, the battle of Dana Holgerson. But let's move on. The Gauchos might have come to their end here with Gonzaga. Blake, like you said when we started, you think they might be one of the best teams you've ever seen. Is this where the dream ends for the Gauchos?
It is. Sadly, it is. Just, oh my gosh. I go on and on about Gonzaga. I'll wait till later for some later matchups, but just move them on. This is seriously one of the best teams I've ever seen, if not the best.
Yeah. Jameson, you want to say any sad words for the Gauchos before we bounce them?
No. I like I said.
Yeah, let's move on.
Like I said, I didn't even pick them in the first round.
Fair enough. Next up, the Battle of the Heartland. Number 2, Iowa. Number 3, Kansas. This is a really good one. Jameson, who do you think pulls it out?
This is tough. This is really tough for me. I think this is close to a 50-50 game when it comes down to it. Kansas, I really like how they put together. The only reason I'm not picking them is this whole COVID thing. It just spooks me out too much. I don't know what's going to happen with them. Could they lose in a weird upset earlier from this and screw up our bracket? Iowa is a more for sure bet to get to this game in Sweet 16. And also, I think that they, like I said, 50-50 game. I think Luka Garza could work on them. So I'm going to say Iowa's the safer pick.
Yeah. Blake, do you share the same optimism for Luke Garza and the Iowa Hawkeyes?
Yeah, but I think they're just a little too much for them. It's going to be a matchup of Mitch Lightfoot versus Luka Garza, which is just which is just going to be absolute domination from Iowa. Too good offensively. I just have to send them on.
Yeah, definitely. That's tough right there. Next up, we got Michigan, Florida State. I know we have love for the lengthy boys at Florida State, but is it enough to take out the Wolverines, who have been stellar this season? Blake, I'll let you start.
I'm moving on the lengthy boys. I do not like Michigan in this spot. I think the loss of Isaiah Livers, this is where it starts to show. If he's not playing this game, I think Florida State just overwhelms them. Watching them in the Big Ten tournament with them is kind of night and day. He's their senior leader. He's the guy that's been there for the last 4 years, gone between the two coaches, has really bridged that gap for him. I think he's starting every single game this year, and losing a guy like that, that's too much for me. I think Florida State their run will end in the next round, but I like him here versus Michigan.
Jameson, do you share the same enthusiasm for the Lengthy Boys as Blake?
Yeah, I do. I do see them like losing. They could anytime just because that's how they play. But with Isaiah Livers out, Florida State is matched up really well versus them. So I'm going to continue on with the Lengthy Boys of Florida State.
Yeah, Michigan seems like a team that's ripe to not reach the Final Four, that has had a lot of hype. And Florida State, like y'all said, really seems to be the perfect recipe to take them out. But that is, hey, that's our first big upset, first number 1 down. Next up, we got number 3 Texas, number 7 UConn. UConn, hey, they made a good run at this point, but is it enough to take down the Horns? Jameson?
If we've made it this far with UConn, let's keep on pushing them on. I know that Texas has been hyping up, but there's just been games this season. I know y'all have watched some where you just look at Texas and you go, come on. Let's ride with UConn. Let's get going with that number 7 seed.
Okay, I like it. Blake, you feel the Huskies or the Horns here?
I think the dream ends here. I think Texas is a little too much for them. I think this game comes down to Jericho Sims again. We've been talking about him a lot, but he's really the X factor. UConn is a smaller team. I think their center's only like 6'9", 6'10". And Jericho Sims, if he can play like he did in the Big 12 tournament, can really take Texas far. He's playing like an elite big man in the entire nation that I've seen. I like Texas there. I got to go with Texas.
Yeah, that's the thing, is what Jameson said about how Texas will look blah is exactly right. However, whenever both teams look blah, I trust the teams that can get easier buckets, and that is Texas almost every single time. Not only do you have Jericho Sims, but you have really solid players in Andrew Jones. They just seem to get buckets a little bit easier. A lot more size. Kai Jones is excellent as well at 6'11". Tore OU completely up, and I know OU is not exactly a benchmark for this, but Texas gets easier buckets. I think they can rely on that more in a tournament type setting, and I think that's why they move on. I hate to say it. I hate to advance Texas, but next up, number 1 Baylor, number 4 Purdue. Blake, you feeling Purdue Pete here, or are you thinking the Bears move on?
Nope. Bears. They're just too good for Purdue.
Jameson, Bears or Purdue?
You are going to wish Winthrop was in this game. Give me Baylor.
I kind of hope they do. I would love to see that. It'd be very fun. Next up, Mac McClung and Texas Tech versus Ohio State, who we've all been high on. Jameson, I know you haven't been as high on Texas Tech. Going with the Buckeyes here?
Well, I was big on Texas Tech. The thing, I love Arkansas so much. I've told y'all, that is a team that I've really liked this whole season, and I've been big on Moses Moody. If I'm the Thunder, I know this is an OU podcast, but I know Thunder fans listen to this. If Thunder do not get a top 5 pick and get somewhere in the 8 range, I'm very, very great with Moses Moody as that pick. So give me Texas Tech, get Mac McClung, keep on rolling. I understand Ohio State's got a lot of skill there. They're much better, but keep the Cinderellas going, Blake. Let's keep pushing Texas Tech. It's too fun.
Blake,
moving
take it
on
away.
McClung. Ohio State can lose to bad teams. They lost to Northwestern. They lost to Minnesota. Both horrible teams. We've seen it before. Texas Tech, Mac McClung, cementing his name in history. Moving on to the Elite Eight.
Absolutely. Next up, the Battle of Brad Underwood, Oklahoma State, and Mike Boynton facing off against his master, or his previous coach, the guy who taught him everything, and Brad Underwood in Illinois. The Illini have definitely taken a step. This looks like a year they can really make a run. Do you think Oklahoma State has enough in them to take it out of Illinois and get a massive upset? Blake, what do you think?
I don't. I think, honestly, the more I look at this game, it feels like one of those games that we get about a week of media hype, and then Illinois just kind of blows them out. Kofi Cockburn is the X factor in this. OSU has the defense to guard to match up with the guards, but Kofi Coburn is an animal. He's an animal inside, and OSU has absolutely no answer. Like, even the Big Ten, the Big Ten has a lot of really good bigs, and they were struggling with this guy. Big 12 doesn't have as many good bigs, and I think this is just going to be one of those things. We see the hype coming up for an entire week, and then it just falls bleh because, Illinois just beat the crap out of Oklahoma State.
Yeah, for sure. Jameson, what do you think?
Exactly what I was going to say. I write the words out of my mouth. I love this Illinois team. In Oklahoma State, like I said, there are some times where they can completely just fall off and Kade Cunningham just gets out-schemed. I think that game will definitely happen if Oklahoma State gets there and Illinois just works them. I love Illinois' team from front to back, everything about them.
Yeah. For all four of you in the middle of the Venn diagram between Schooner Pod listeners and those who watch the Clone Wars, this is Darth Maul versus Darth Sidious. It's going to be a little bit ugly, folks. You think it's going to be even? You think that the apprentice is finally ready to take that step up? Illinois is just too deep. Give me the Illini. Next up, we got West Virginia and Houston. Houston been a bit shaky, kind of. They got a really good draw, I think. Do you think they're going to possibly keep this momentum and beat West Virginia? Jameson?
No, I like West Virginia better here. I think there's a solid team, and like y'all said already, Houston's shaky. I think Houston's got talent, but West Virginia, I feel like matches up really well versus them. Give me West Virginia. I feel pretty good about this one.
Yeah. Blake, what do you feel?
Retweet Jameson's analysis. West Virginia, I like, especially in this matchup. It's just a team that played a schedule and a team that just played a very crappy schedule. Just give me that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have expanded the bracket. We're in the Sweet 16. Let's move on up. We got Gonzaga. We got Iowa. Who are we rolling with? We've seen this matchup already this season. The Zags going to roll big again, Blake?
Yes, big time here. The one problem with Iowa is still their defense. And at best, Iowa can have a really hot shooting day and keep up with Gonzaga, that they can go kind of punch with them, but Gonzaga can actually defend. And that gives them just, at least, even if they have a horrible game, that gives them a slight edge. I just cannot see this Iowa team beating Gonzaga. It's not the team that I see beating them if Gonzaga is going to lose.
Oh, I already selected it, but I'm with Gonzaga. Jameson, I assume you're with Gonzaga as well.
I agree, but I don't think it's going to be that big of a blowout. I think Gonzaga is going to have a little bit of trouble here after rolling through all the way to the Sweet 16. I think, Iowa's got talent. They're going to put up a fight here, but Gonzaga's too much for them.
And we've seen teams play each other early on and then not have that same result later. Teams learn, teams get better throughout the season. I think Iowa, especially if they get past Kansas and make this run, I think they're going to be more than ready for another duel with Gonzaga. I just think the Zags are just a little bit better. Let's go on down to Florida State and Texas. Texas finally runs into a team with some length here. Jameson, you think that you eliminated Texas last round out to UConn. You feeling optimism about them lengthy boys at Florida State?
I don't know what makes my idea any different from UConn to Florida State. I feel like they're kind of comparable, but for some reason now I'm feeling Texas, even though I just don't like them that much in this tournament. So I'm just going to go with my gut here and just pick Texas, I guess.
Okay. Blake, you feeling the horns here?
Definitely feeling the horns. Andrew Jones, Matt Coleman, Greg Brown. I really like this Texas team. I really do. And I know that's probably going to disappoint me. I could easily see them, I could be saying all this now and they lose in the round of 32 and I never hear from them again. But I really, really, really like this Texas team. Move on the Longhorns.
The Texas Longhorns into the Final Four. Next up, we got Illinois, West Virginia. I know we've been high on West Virginia. We've been high on Illinois as well. Blake, how you feeling?
The road ends here for West Virginia. Illinois is just, this team, it's just so crazy to me because Illinois, we saw them against Baylor early in the year, and Baylor just kind of beat the brakes off of them a little bit. And I don't like. I go back and forth with which team I like, but I see these two teams competing again in the Final Four. I just can't like this. They have so much depth on this Illinois team that even if Desumu's not doing well, they have enough there that can just compel them every single game. I just can't see West Virginia being give me Illinois. It's just the Kofi Cockburn problem is going to be an issue for a lot of these smaller teams, a lot of these Big 12 teams, and teams not Big 10 that have faced him before. He's huge. He's a man playing a boy sport, and he can just get easy points whenever they're not shooting good. I just can't bet against that.
Fair enough. Jameson, how do you feel about the matchup?
Like I said earlier, West Virginia was a team that I thought could falter versus San Diego State. If they've made it here, Illinois, I've already talked so highly on Illinois. Just keep on rolling, Illinois.
The Illinois Illini moving on to the Final Four. One spot left.
We missed Baylor. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Baylor.
I was saying. I was about to say one spot left. It's Baylor. It's Texas Tech. The Butt Bowl making it to the Elite Eight. This is exciting. This is what dreams are made of, folks. I'm pumped. But is Baylor so good they're going to finally shut down the Mac McClung machine? Jameson, I'll let you start.
Mac McClung's going to go 2 for 17 this game, and Baylor's just going to blow him out. And his one shining moment is going to be tarnished so hard. Give me Baylor. Give me Baylor by 15.
Blake, is this the time the story ends?
I think this is the time the story ends. Baylor, just too many offensive weapons, too many guards. They played them before too, and you just know, like, I feel like it's like hard to beat a team a third time, but I feel like in this one, it's like they're too familiar with them that they can just easily shut them down. I just don't think Texas Tech happens to beat Baylor.
The time is short, the road is long, and in the blinking of an eye, that moment's gone, folks. Goodbye, sweet Prince, Mac McClung. We'll always have those moments together picking them. So, our Final Four is set. Number 1 Gonzaga versus number 3 Texas. Baylor, Illinois. This is a pretty fun Final Four. I would love to see this I would love to see this actually happen. Maybe without, if Texas wasn't Texas, just remove their logo. It would be a blast. But this looks pretty good. So let's just get it started with Gonzaga and Texas. Blake, that size of UT, is it finally run up against its match share with the Zags?
It has, because they finally run into Drew Timme, and I love Timme.
Yes.
And I love Timme. I love Jalen Suggs, and I love my favorite Gonzaga player, of course, Corey Kispert. Going to be a steal in the late lottery. Shooter. My man's a shooter. Think about this. At the beginning of the season, their 6th man was Andrew Nembhard, who was Florida's best player by far last season. And that's the type of guy that's coming off the bench or being a lower starter at Gonzaga. It's just too much. Timme, Kispert, Suggs erases the Longhorns. Take them to the national championship. We know if you are rooting against Gonzaga not getting to the national championship, I don't care if you choose them to win, but you want to see them on the big stage. Everybody does. Put them in there. I want to see it. It's going to be awesome. Give it to Gonzaga.
Fair enough. Jameson, Zags to the title?
Yeah. The thing is with Gonzaga, in their history of being hyped and getting number 1 seeds, they've always disappointed. But this is different. This is not the same as that. You can't play the Gonzaga's going to choke because they always choke. I don't care if they have the same coach. These players are a completely different breed than anybody they've ever had. You just can't even think of people in the same category as their top 3 right now, really. Like Brandon Clark. Come on, he's not even comparable to Jalen Suggs. And, Timmy's playing almost as good, if not better, as a college basketball player than Brandon Clark was. I really like Gonzaga a lot. Wasn't sold on Texas too much. Give me Gonzaga pretty confidently here.
Yeah, Texas would have really fought their way here, but Gonzaga, that's a knockout punch right there. Zags to the national championship. Next up, a really good matchup, Baylor, Illinois. We've been kind of thinking it was going to be Baylor-Gonzaga all season long. Here we are, though. Is the prophecy correct? Are we going to get Baylor-Zaga, or are the Illini going to get to the promised land to face Gonzaga? Jameson, who do you got?
I think you heard it throughout the whole time of the podcast how much I really like Illinois. Baylor's really just shown some weaknesses recently, and the way they played at the end of the year is really concerning. Illinois, on the other hand, not. Like I said, from top to bottom, no weaknesses. Give me that team, Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, Scott Drew, really good coach for the regular season for some runs, but I think he does have his pressure points where he does get weak. So I'm not sure about this. Blake, who do you got?
I gotta go with Baylor. I love this. This is honestly a matchup I'm super like. The Final Four, you can, I guess, replace Texas with anybody else, but like the one thing I want to see is Gonzaga in the national championship, and I want to see Baylor Illinois Final Four, because I think it's going to be a really, really good game. I think Baylor's defense, once the tournament starts, they get a few more games under them, is really going to come back. And I know they've shown some struggles, but they have three incredible guards. Like, I love Ayo Dosunmu, and he is incredible to watch. But Jared Butler has been disrespected, I feel like, all year, that he should have been the Big 12 Player of the Year, gets automatically given to Kade Cunningham. I don't understand that. Davion Mitchell and Maceo Teague are incredible guards within themselves. And then when you go to the bench with Matthew Mayer, and you have the glue guy with Mark Vidal, I just love the components of what this Baylor team has put together. It just feels like a very, very March team. You have Grinder that can't really score, but just kind of puts it together. You have two guys that are starters, great, incredible guards with Jared Butler leading the way. And then you have a good bench. Like, Matthew Mayer is going to be a guy we're talking about next year leading Baylor after Jared Butler probably leaves in the offseason and Maceo Teague does. I just really like Baylor here, and I think it's just because of personal, like, I want to be in Waco when a national championship happens, but give me Baylor. I want to see Baylor Gonzaga. It's what I've been wanting to see all season.
So I'm the deciding factor here. I think of these two teams, I just have the weirdest feeling that I think Baylor would be the one to fall. Like, I think Baylor would probably has the highest odds of slipping up before the Final Four, before Illinois. I think it comes down to coaching. I think it comes down to this weird vibe they've had. They haven't been the same since the COVID break. And, you know, hey, I could be wrong. You can snap out of a cold streak like that. We've seen it with Texas. We've seen it with other teams. Oklahoma State got swept by TCU, for God's sake. But at the end of the day, I don't know if Baylor can snap back into it. By that time, they'll be clicking, sure, but I don't think. I have a feeling that Illinois, it's so even. I'm going to give the edge to Illinois, but just by that much. It's going to be an incredible matchup if we get it, but I just think the grind of, man, it's so tough, but I'm going to give the edge to Illinois. So we're going to go with Illinois and Gonzaga in the national championship. Sorry, Blake, but that's the decision.
I just hope, like, if that matchup happens, I want it to just be an all-time game. Like, whoever wins or whoever loses, like, I just want to see the stars really shine that game. And, like, I just think this year we have potential for some all-time good matchups, and I just want to see those. Like, I want madness at the beginning, but I really want to see some of these one seeds really duel it out while they're hot.
Yeah, for sure. Now we have the national championship game. Gonzaga, Illinois, 2-1 seeds, two really, really great teams this season who I feel like match up pretty solidly against each other. Blake, how are you feeling about the Zags versus the Illini here?
I got to go with Gonzaga. I've been saying it all along. This could be the best college basketball team I've ever seen. And I love the storyline of Gonzaga winning, being the first undefeated national champion since the 75-76 Indiana Hoosiers in Indiana. That's going to spark so many debate with the olds. The olds are going to go wild. They're going to say the COVID season doesn't count. There was no crowds. they're going to be the new generation saying the COVID season's harder. They had to deal with so many off-court issues. They had to play basically neutral court games each time. I want that debate on the message boards. Give me it, give me it, give me it. I want the Zags. They've been my national championship favorite all year. I'm not going to sway from it here. I just love this team. They're so fun to watch. It's been such an amazing – like, I don't want it to end up like the 2015 Kentucky Wildcats. Like, I don't want to see something so great just kind of fall flat early. I really, really, really do not want to see this. Even if they lose this game, I at least want them in the national championship. But the sad thing is, if they end up losing in the national championship, I feel like people are just going to continue to rag on Gonzaga. This program is good, and they're only getting better. I really love what Mark Few's doing up in Spokane right now. He is going to build an incredible future with this program. Give me Gonzaga.
Yeah, fair enough. This is, like we mentioned the entire podcast, this is a different Gonzaga team. And this definitely feels like the moment where they have the team to match the scrappiness. It seems like their moment. But Jameson, will it be their moment? Will they finally get over the hump and win a national championship?
Yes, like Gonzaga's going to win. I really, really like Illinois. I can definitely see them winning. There's one team I want to pick that's going to win national championship and spoil Gonzaga. I really do think that Illinois will put up a fight. This is going to be a really, really fun game. But I think that, Jalen Suggs, he's going to come out in the big stage and play good. He's a guy who can play under composure. He's always calm, cool, and collected, and that's the greatest part about his game is he just always does the right things. He has every single part of his game. He can do everything, and I think that might propel him into talks of number two pick in the draft over Evan Mobley. I really like Gonzaga here. They're my champion. Same with Blake. Ever since I watched them at the beginning of the season, I was.
Yeah, I mean, they've been the best team all season, and everyone holding them back because they don't play in a Power 5 conference or everything. This is their moment to prove it. This is, as you all have mentioned it far more eloquently than I could. This is a really good basketball team, but more than anything, the moment of finally breaking through after all of these years. For the school, for everyone who has been watching Gonzaga, who has dealt with the heartbreak, who watched Adam Morrison cry on the floor all the way back in 2005, who watched him finally break through and get to the Final Four and then fall short yet again. It will be a remarkable moment, and I think it is finally time to declare Gonzaga a national champion. I think they're going to hit it. So we are. We're all agreed. The Gonzaga Bulldogs, your national champion, the champion, the Uni bracket. Guys, good time. This was fun.
This was fun. We kept you under 2 hours, which is surprising.
Yeah, surprising. We resisted our urges and didn't do anything weird beyond the Gauchos making it far. We didn't give Montana a win over a 2 seed, so that's good. We've matured. We've gotten better.
Give me back. I need to talk about Winthrop for 18 minutes.
We have time.
If Winthrop goes on a run, Jameson will not let us hear the end of it.
No.
They'll probably lose in first round now after all this time.
Probably, but Blake, any final thoughts on the college football or college basketball season? On our bracket? Anything you want to say before the madness begins?
Nope, just excited we had a college basketball season this year. It was a little weird. We didn't get to see some of the big matchups. We didn't get to see some of the big games. Had a lot of teams I felt like got a little bit derailed because of COVID pauses and stuff like that. But I'm honestly so excited for March to even have a fraction of fans there to kind of get that atmosphere back. I'm super excited for this tournament. I can't wait for next year. Hopefully we'll have 100% of the crowds again and just get that pageantry back with college basketball that it was really missing this season. But even though it's missing that a little bit, it still doesn't take away that we have some of the best teams I've ever seen in my entire life competing in this tournament. It's going to be an awesome ride.
It's a really good 64. It's a really good, 68, but you get the point.
Yeah.
I'm really, really excited for sure. Jameson, final thoughts.
Yep, can't wait till Friday. It's going to be a great, great weekend. Plan on doing nothing. Stay in your house, order food in, and let's just watch basketball all day.
It's going to be incredible. Unfortunately, I have to drive like halfway all day and also on Sunday. So that's just thrilling.
Boo. This is the same dude who's planning his wedding around March Madness next year. He doesn't like college basketball.
Not my policy. Not my policy. We didn't think about that. But anyways, guys, thank y'all so much for joining us for yet another long 1 hour 45-minute show, and thank all of y'all for listening throughout all of this. This has been very fun as usual, and I'm looking forward to our next show in 2022. So for me, Jameson, and Boaton Blake, this has been the Schooner Bracket. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope we get something that somewhat resembles this in real life. But until then, we'll see you around. Have a good one. Everyone stay safe. Enjoy the madness.